Well, the Albanese government is considering changes to how it regulates accounting, auditing and consulting firms as part of a shake-up of the industry in the wake of some very high-profile scandals. To take a look at what's going on, business reporter Daniel Ziffer joins us now on the couch. Dan, lovely to see you here. Now, I know quite a lot of consultants, and they won't like me saying this, but what do they actually do?
It's a good question. It's a good question. So there are the big consulting firms. There are 4 of them in Australia, and the largest ones, and a suite of smaller ones. What they do is 2 things. They do audit, which is they go into companies and businesses and they look at the books and they interrogate the numbers. And that's why when we have like reporting season, people say we've made this much profit, you can trust that they are the numbers. They've gone in and asked hard questions, looked at the spreadsheets and said, this is how much the company's making. The other half of the business is they go and solve problems. So people come to them and say, hey, we'd like to crack the Indonesian market, or we have a particular problem in this unit we're not producing. How do we solve it? And they have lots of smart people with really diverse expertise, and they come and solve problems. So all of these companies do these big things. You've probably heard of PwC, KPMG, Ernst & Young and Deloitte. They have lots of very smart people working for them, but in the last few years, 2 of them have had substantial scandals with people misusing confidential information.
Okay, let's talk about KPMG, because over the past few months we've seen several members of the leadership team resign. Can you explain why?
A lot of them left for doing the wrong thing with that information. So when you're doing an audit of a big company, you're privy to all this really secret information. What the key allegation here is that they took information from those audits and used it to win contracts at bigger companies they were trying to get the contract for. The key one, to help you understand this, is that they were doing the audit for Optus, the telecommunications company. They took information from that secret, internal Optus information to try and win the vastly more lucrative contract for Telstra. Now, that is clearly and obviously wrong, kind of double dealing. There's been a few other things, but that's kind of the nub of it, is misusing this information to try and make more money by getting more lucrative contracts.
Take us back to PwC. I mean, this was a real scandal. This was under the Abbott government at the time. They wanted to crack down on tax, and then they shared confidential information. I mean, how does this happen?
Well, money is awesome, and people want a lot of it. There's a culture within these firms where they have pushed really hard. Now, in the PwC one, their top tax people were invited to help the government shape tax laws to try and ensnare multinational companies. What some of the leadership of PwC did was they took that information, going, oh, we think the government's going to do this, reverse engineered it, sold it to the companies that were going to be subject to these taxes, and then gloated about it as they made millions of dollars in fees. So that company was essentially had about a third sliced off it, and no longer bids for government work. KPMG is probably going down a similar line, where at the moment no one with any sense would give them work. Even though, as I said, there's lots of really smart people working at these companies. The percentage of people who are involved in this scandal is absolutely tiny. We're probably talking about 20 or 50 out of the 10,000 staff that they have. But they have tainted the organisation, and at the moment government is precluded from giving them work, but at the moment they don't even need that preclusion. No one with any sense would give them money anyway.
Well, let's talk about the federal government. So they're looking at feedback, they're looking at changes. What sort of effect could that have on the industry and how they get work going forward?
It could be really substantial. One of the key things about these companies is that they are not companies as we think of. They're not regulated by ASIC. They are partnerships where they are run by a couple of hundred, in the high hundreds number of people. They're subject to New South Wales business law generally. They're not covered in the way that most companies are. What will probably happen is the government will change the law to mean that these partnerships can be regulated by ASIC, who've got the grunt and the know-how to be able to get into these scandals. We have seen them at different firms. No one is suggesting that everyone is clean here. They do an important and really necessary function in the economy, which is audit the books so that you can trust when a company says we've got this much profit, that they do. This is how the investment world, all the finance, it's astonishingly, a lot of it run on trust. It really is. And this has broken that trust. So there's going to be moves by the government to regulate these companies. Certainly there are recommendations, and the understanding is that they will take action here so that we can rebuild that trust, so that people who are investing can have some certainty that the information they're getting is clean and is not tainted by a desire to make money by using that information in another company.